NFTrade, which is an NFT marketplace. What makes NFTrade unique is the first cross-chain and blockchain agnostic NFT platform. NFTrade is an aggregator of all NFT marketplaces and hosts the complete NFT lifestyle, allowing anyone to seamlessly create, buy, sell, swap, farm, and leverage NFTs across different blockchains. Using NFTrade, anyone can gain access to the entirety of their NFT, unlocking the total value of the NFT market. So Harrison, you're joining us from Tel Aviv. How is it there?
Things are good. It's summer, it's mid-August, so very hot in the Middle East. But we're in the office, we're building, and luckily we have air conditioning, so things are good over here.
Amazing. And what's the crypto climate like in Israel?
So Israel historically and recently is an extremely technologically friendly and technologically advanced country. Per capita, it has some of the most unicorns, as in billion-dollar companies that or billion-dollar startups that reach a global audience. So as that goes, with so much technological innovation, there's a lot of adoption of cryptocurrency. There's a good amount of conferences and such. Obviously, COVID hurt that. But there's also a lot of innovation and building here, a lot of marketplaces, such as eToro, which is one of the biggest crypto and stock marketplaces in the world. There's Koti, which we were talking about, which is more of a localized state and city-based crypto project. So there's a lot of building, a lot of really smart computer scientists in Israel, which is nice. A lot of really, really good connections here.
Yeah, it sounds like a place to be in this moment.
Yeah, it's a great hub. I mean, there's so much going on at all times, and there's so many interesting partners that have either worked with people in Tel Aviv, established companies in Tel Aviv, or are involved in some way. So it's really a great hub to be building from.
Do you feel like there's been a sort of migration there in the way that there has been perhaps to Miami and other places that are incredibly crypto friendly, where you feel new people coming in, or does this feel like it's all coming from within?
That's an interesting question. I think it's a combination. I think a lot of the building and startups come from Israelis themselves, and that attracts a lot of talent, a lot of venture capital and money that ends up piling on top of it. So I think it's kind of a combination where it's established here, and by establishing an interesting and thoughtful project, it brings in a lot of talent from around the globe.
Amazing. Well, it'll be an interesting space to watch, I think. And I understand the Israeli government is considering a digital currency.
Yeah, so they're considering a CBDC, a central bank digital currency. The official currency of Israel is the shekel, and they're exploring releasing a digital shekel on Ethereum. So they're definitely on the forefront of at least exploring crypto, exploring these technological innovations. Whether they actually implement them, we'll have to see. But it's definitely on their radar, which is always good to see.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting. I feel like they've often made headlines this year just in terms of how far in front of the COVID crisis they've been, and to understand that they're that advanced about blockchain and crypto is really inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a little bit about market conditions and what brings us to this conversation about NFTs. The beginning of 2021, we saw an explosion in the NFT market. I mean, I think by February, most people knew the acronym, but nobody knew what it meant. I heard a lot of people who were former art collectors or current art collectors talking about how they don't even know what the value is of what they're buying. They're just buying it, and they'll kind of wait and see. And it was considered a bubble at the time. Obviously, there was a sort of mini crash in the market and a bit of a crypto winter that we just went through. And a lot of people were saying that NFTs are over, that was just kind of a one-off bubble. And suddenly they've come roaring back. So much so that last week, OpenSea's gas fees surpassed Uniswap, which is the first time an NFT marketplace outpaced a DEX. And we're starting to see all sorts of NFTs come out. We're seeing copies of copies, which are still selling. We're seeing a lot of original work as well. What does this tell you about the NFT market and where it's going?
So I think the NFT market is really, really just at the beginning. I think the art and collectible aspect of NFTs is the very, very tip of the iceberg. And I think that's also being demonstrated recently because a lot of the top gainers, as you were saying, were Axie Infinity, Terra Luna. A lot of these NFT-based games, play to earn is a new concept that people are getting interested in. You know, the concept of the leisure economy, being able to monetize your free time, your hobbies, you know, being able to actually earn value from playing games. So that I think is a super, super crucial aspect of NFTs. And that's really one of the first aspects that inspired NFTrade. We wanted to facilitate swaps between games. As you may know, I don't know how much of a gamer you are, but for multiplayer games, MMORPGs like you know, World of Warcraft type or something like that, there can be millions of players and they can earn different items, but if they don't have the ability to interact with each other, then that's a really limiting factor in terms of broad stream acceptance and usability. So we are kind of positioned on the thesis that NFT gaming is going to take over the traditional gaming sector, and we're trying to set ourselves up as one of the main hubs where users can go to earn value from those gaming items and continue to develop there. So from the collectible aspect, NFTs are exciting, and that was kind of the first bubble of NFTs where there was a lot of hype, but it's really, really just the beginning in terms of the capabilities of what these kind of tokens offer and how it's going to develop over time.
That's amazing. And do you feel like when the NFT craze started and people began to develop these, that they had gaming in mind, or do you think gaming is an organic iteration of where this all started?
I think some people had gaming in mind. I think the concept of being able to verifiably own a digital item, which kind of is the first time it's been possible with NFTs, is an extremely important concept. So it's been probably mostly indie gamers and developers that were approaching it. But there was also, people like me, people like our founders who have been deeply involved in the crypto space, and got a really good understanding of what NFTs can offer, and then see the different use cases that they're going to branch off into. So gaming, the adoption of esports and, just the craze in general is kind of the perfect match for NFTs.
And do you see game developers moving into this space, or do you see blockchain developers beginning to generate original ideas around gaming?
So it's a little bit of both. I think now in the early stages, it's more blockchain developers going towards the gaming sector, but you also have companies such as Mythical Games, which is a very big traditional gaming platform. They just raised $75 million to release an NFT-based game, Blanco's Block Party. So that's going to be more of a traditional game where users don't even necessarily know that it's running on blockchain. It's going to be a very seamless game, but they're going to be able to own and monetize all of their assets without the ability to have them confiscated by the developer, which can happen in traditional gaming. So I think over time, it's going to move more to gaming companies integrating blockchain. But right now, it's more blockchain and NFT companies integrating gaming. So
interesting.
That's just my perspective, at least.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Are you a gamer yourself?
I'm a gamer. There's some people here that are much bigger gamers than me, for sure, at NFTrade, but I dabble.
Okay. And what blockchain technologies do you see playing the biggest role in gaming going forward? I know Engine is one that people are aware of, but what else is out there? How is Engine doing? How do you see these different blockchain technologies being implemented into the gaming build outs?
Yeah, so Engine's definitely a major player. There's also Wax, which is kind of a gaming-based platform. I think a lot of the gaming is going to have to go towards these L2, like layer 2 networks, just to facilitate the amount of transactions in a cost-effective way. There's going to be different gaming platforms that grow. Engine is interesting because it's more like a whole ecosystem. So if they can develop, one or two hit games that draw in the crowd, they can definitely be successful long term. But I think there's also going to be a lot of individual games that grow over time, such as Axie Infinity, which was kind of independent and now has grown to be, the number one game in the NFT space by a long shot.
Yeah, I mean, worth billions of dollars now, which is incredible.
Yeah.
What do you think the success of that is based on? Why did that take off?
I think people are finally understanding that with blockchain technology, there's so many new ways to earn. Like I was saying, there's the leisure economy, and especially in third world countries where, you know, the average wage is significantly lower. It can sometimes be a couple dollars a day. You know, this is a real opportunity for people all around the world to monetize their time in a fun way, and there's no real restrictions. So, you know, someone might want to buy a more expensive item instead of spending 10 hours earning it. So the person that puts in the 10 hours to earn the item can now monetize their time, sell that gaming item to someone else who wants it, and it's a, you know, a mutually beneficial transaction.
Wow. I mean, it sounds like you've actually got a lot of intel and insight into just who's actually doing the gaming as well. And what are the demographics of your platform in terms of, you know, what countries have the most adoption on it? Where do you see the most action?
So we're still growing. We see a lot of American and European based users, but we also have a pretty significant Southeast Asia user base, which is kind of on the same path as I was saying, where some of these less developed countries and users are using the platform for a different reason than someone in the Western countries. So it really depends. There's kind of a place for everyone, especially on these less expensive chains like Polygon, Binance Smart Chain, where it's really easy to facilitate these transactions without spending a lot in gas, which can obviously, as people know, take a huge chunk out of the transaction. So we're really internationally focused. There's not a single hub that we're targeting right now. It's more just like the general NFT collecting and gaming sphere as a whole.
Okay. And is, you know, going back to the gas fees, which have been a thing nobody knew to think about until this year in terms of how out of control they can be from time to time on Ethereum specifically. I mean, I think Ethereum's historically been considered the builder's blockchain. When you look at Matic or Polygon and you look at Solana, what are the unique features of each of these chains that make them great or not to build on, despite the low gas fees?
Sure. I think with Polygon and Solana, compared to Binance Smart Chain, they all offer like extremely cheap transactions, but Polygon and Solana are much more decentralized, which really speaks to the ethos of blockchain and cryptocurrencies more. So they're able to facilitate, you know, the necessary amount of transactions to handle a game with, you know, thousands or hopefully millions of players. Right now, that can't be done on Ethereum's layer one. It would be way too expensive to do this. So unfortunately, there's really no other choice for developers at this time but to look outside of Ethereum or on top of Ethereum to build their games. Hopefully with ETH 2.0, that speeds up a little bit. But if games, you know, mainstream games, which have millions of players, you know, probably billions of interactions on a daily or weekly basis, there needs to be something that can facilitate that seamlessly, which is why platforms like Solana and Matic have really exploded over the last year.
And do you correlate Solana's current run, which has been impressive over the last 2 weeks, to the explosion in the NFT market, or do you think it's independent of that?
I think it's kind of independent. There are some NFT marketplaces and collections on Solana that are growing, but I think people are really just looking for the next base for DeFi apps, for NFT apps. And it's just looking like, although Ethereum is the base layer, there's a lot of other really enticing options that in theory could be faster and better and stronger than Ethereum if that developer and community base can go there.
And are there any new blockchains that are not being discussed right now that you think might have a chance to enter this field?
I think Solana is the most recent like star as far as new blockchains. Avalanche, there's some interest on. I think Wax and Flow. Flow is the blockchain for NBA Top Shot and CryptoKitties. I think if they release another big application like NBA Top Shot, we could see a lot of users there. But right now, I think people are just looking for the most cost-effective way to interact. So it's going to be the Solanas, the Polygons, you know, whatever can offer a big user base, an easy way to operate.
Amazing. It's interesting to see how many new blockchains are also being developed. And I'm also waiting to see what happens with Algorand and some of these that have been around for a long time that seem to have not necessarily found their stride yet, but have a lot to offer as these new dApps come about. So just to kind of like simplify for a moment for the audience, the questions that I get asked the most often about NFTs are, what are they? How do they work? And what defines their value? And again, I think there are a lot of people out there that they're actually buying NFTs without understanding what they own. So other people are buying exposure to NFTs, not understanding that they don't own it. So can you explain for us in the simplest expert terms, what defines rarity in the NFT space and how does that define value?
So I think why NFTs are so valuable and innovative is because it's the first time in the history of the internet that anyone can verifiably own a unique digital item or digital asset. There's never been a way before to verify and prove ownership over a digital asset, only physical assets. So I think that's why a lot of people are seeing the art space adopt it so fast, is because these artists can provably create verifiably scarce assets. So you have someone like a Damien Hirst, who's a world-renowned artist, in galleries all over the world. And before, you couldn't create a digital item. He couldn't create a digital item because there's no way to verifiably prove that it came from him, that there's only a certain amount made, and that no one can copy it. So now with NFTs, you can show verifiably from the contract address that it was minted, who created it, when it was created, how it was created, and even, let's say, a famous artist decides to reproduce an identical NFT, you can easily distinguish which one was created first, the different quantities. So it really is a way to show for the first time the uniqueness of digital items and to prove ownership by anyone around the world.
And how does the value of that thing get determined? Let's say obviously a Damien Hirst NFT would go for a lot of money, but a funky piece of digital art from someone you've never heard of, might sell for 20 USD the first time around. How would you look at this as a new investor coming into this marketplace, saying I can't afford the Damien Hirst, despite recognizing its inherent value? But there's this thing over here that I kind of like or think is funny, or is a part of a collection that seems to have a lot of buzz around it. What will ultimately determine the value of that NFT over time?
It's kind of complicated because unlike cryptocurrency, there's no standard metrics that you can really use to measure the value of a piece of art. It's kind of, in the same as the traditional art space, like why is the Mona Lisa the most priceless painting in the world compared to, some murals that are 1,000 years older and 20 times bigger. So it's really hard to intrinsically say the value of a piece of art. And that's why I think you see such these crazy price disparities, because people are just trying to gauge what could be valuable. Some people are using provenance to determine that. So for example, CryptoPunks were the first NFT collection. So if NFTs become a historical asset, there could be some value tied to the first ones. Beyond that, like you see the success of the Bored Ape Yacht Club, it's kind of hard to distinguish what makes that collection more valuable than any of the other thousands of avatar NFT collections now available. So it's really the community, the base of the community, but that also doesn't determine the long-term value. It could be like a Beanie Babies type situation where there's a lot of hype, a lot of speculation, but in 10 years, people don't care about any of these avatar collections. So I think it's extremely speculative. It's kind of the same way as investing in art, where you can try and follow the market, follow the money, but it's really hard to determine the actual value of each collection besides what someone is willing to pay at the time.
Right. And do you have any background in the art market or in the collectibles market? Is that something that you were into before this?
So I come from a finance background. I've been in the crypto space full time since 2017. So I've started with analysis, really love the concept of decentralized applications, I was kind of introduced to Ethereum before Bitcoin even. So that's more of the side where I come from, and just understanding the impacts that these types of assets could have in use cases, mostly like video games, but also collectibles, whether digital collectibles, ticketing items, other stuff like that. That's where I really find the value. So I come from a more crypto-centric space, not really the collectible space, and we're applying that to a new asset class in this market.
Amazing. And how big is the team that you guys have over there? And what is everyone coming from a blockchain background? Or are there more people coming from finance backgrounds?
So we have a team of 7, 5 of us based in Tel Aviv, and 2 managers in Ukraine. That's actually not true. So a few of us come from the crypto background, and that's me and our CEO. And then beyond that, we have a lot of people in the just traditional tech space. So just really smart and active developers that are now understanding the abilities that cryptocurrencies present. And it kind of speaks to the general crypto market, where you have these computer scientists, these software engineers, and these programmers, and they're understanding how this new technology is going to revolutionize what was previously available. So some of our team members were introduced to crypto for the first time when they started. But they just have a very, very deep insight into the programming space and how it operates. So we're a combination of technical guys, finance guys, and crypto people.
This sounds like a pretty compelling and robust company.
Hopefully.
And it sounds like, there's a lot of future thinking going on here beyond just the what's right now, which seems essential. Essential. And I also want to remind our audience right now as well that you can write in with questions that we'll get around to at the end of the show. So talking a bit about what's on the horizon, we've talked obviously about your understanding as NFTrade of where the gaming might be going here, and how that might ultimately be the bigger play that everyone's iterating towards, building towards. And again, going back to Axie Infinity, which is one of those things that I think no one saw coming and has just, really blown up. And I think what's interesting about that too is I know a lot of people who actually own the AXS token, but they don't necessarily even play the game, because again, it's in crypto, you have this chance to have exposure to something that you don't necessarily own or participate in, which is unique. And Tron recently announced the launch of a $300 million fund dedicated to investing in gaming finance projects, which is obviously a pretty sizable amount. And then, most NFT games are play to earn and utilize NFTs and cryptocurrencies to incentivize gameplay for their user base. So where do you see this going in a time horizon in terms of, at what point do we begin to see that shift in evolution on a mass scale from people collecting NFTs or just trading in the short term to the gamification of DeFi?
Sure. So I think the process is already underway. A lot of companies are raising funds right now to develop these next generation games. As you said, Axie Infinity, I think, is the first real demonstration of the potential of gamified finance, of NFTs in the gaming space. And I think it also, even further back than that, if you just look at OpenSea and how they've evolved, all of last year, they did I think $20 million of volume for the whole year. And now they're doing, $60 to $70 million per day, doing 3 times as much volume in one day that they did in the entire last year. So I think a lot of that is revolving around speculation in these collectible markets. But over time, like with cryptos, like with ICOs, the cream's going to rise to the top. There's going to be a lot of people that are trying to make money, a lot of developers that are going to, try and ship products that aren't necessarily long-term or even necessarily real, just to try and take funds. So I think, people need to be vigilant about what's available and what's coming. But these projects are already under development. And I think same with the crypto space, over the next 3 to 5 years, as this technology becomes cheaper, faster, more accessible, it's going to be integrated on a much higher scale than it currently is, because we're really just seeing the first iterations of all of these games and their potential.
Interesting. And do you think that the NFT market is going to be as sensitive to the larger crypto market, meaning bull versus bear? Do you think that it's going to rise and fall with that, or do you think it's actually going to be more durable because of the real world applications of the games and integrations?
Yeah, so I think in the short term, it's definitely going to ride with Bitcoin and the general market cap. But even recently, we've started to see a decoupling. You know, there was the bear market or pattern or whatever you want to say in the last 3 months. And that's when a lot of these gaming projects have seen their all-time high prices. So that just goes to show, even with speculation and not a lot of necessarily hope in the crypto space, these projects were still thriving and reaching all-time highs. So I think for now, since a lot of it is talk about blockchain technology, it is going to ride on the general wave of the crypto market. But over time, it's going to decouple, especially as games develop their own ecosystems that aren't really relevant to Bitcoin or even Ethereum. They're just their own ecosystem that revolves around their community and their players.
And what do you see currently performing the best on your site? Which type of NFTs are you finding are the most popular or the most off-traded?
Mm-hmm. So we are focusing a lot on the Polygon ecosystem. Right now, our most traded asset is it's a punk collection. It's called Polygon Punks. It's riding off the wave. They call it a homage collection to CryptoPunks. So a lot of people are interested in finding, the next big thing. And with new chains like Solana, like Polygon, even likes of Cardano, Internet Computer, all of these new chains, the people are trying to find out what is going to be the next big NFT collection for that chain. So it's still a lot of speculation. Whether these pan out in the next 3 to 5 years will be very interesting to see as the NFT market develops. But right now, it's a lot of speculative collectors, artists, stuff like that. And we see on NFTrade, it's mostly small and medium-sized participants.
And have you seen a lot of copyright infringement issues that have come up over the course of the last, let's call it season, in terms of people saying, wait a minute, you copied or, emulated something that I created far too much, or someone's created an NFT based on underlying material that they don't own, such as, a meme or a photograph?
Sure. Yeah, this is a problem even we're facing on a local level on our platform. So NFTrade is decentralized, meaning we don't moderate our marketplace. If you wanna create an NFT, you can do that even if you take it from someone else. So you have the opportunity to mark it as fraud, say this isn't a real one, this is taking from someone else. But that's definitely a problem in the space. I mean, it's the same as, someone making a fake pair of Nikes and selling them for a fraction of the price. So, people are still interested in having these name brand types of NFTs, such as the punks, but they don't want to spend $100,000. So for Larva Labs, the creators of NFT, of CryptoPunks, it does cause some problems. But just with the decentralized nature of blockchain, I think it's important, just to make the community aware and have them understand, what they're getting into and what the differences are. And, it's really up to them. In the same way, there's nothing stopping a user from investing in a really bad ICO or a scam, but they just have to do their own research, understand what they're getting themselves into before they make any financial decisions.
And do you have to keep that legal counsel on hand to deal with, these issues as they arise? Are there even attorneys out there who know how to deal with the kind of copyright infringement issues that are happening in this space?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have a legal team that we have to go for advice. I'm sure there's a lot of questions we've asked them that they've never heard before. So it's definitely a new frontier, but a lot of these concepts have been developed in the physical space. So it's kind of just understanding how they work in a decentralized community. So there is some nuance, and they're still developing the regulatory outlines and the standards for sure.
Okay. And, something that comes up a lot in our community too is, how to onboard new people into DeFi, and just all the barriers that come up along the way in terms of, especially when you get into, where we're sitting with funding your MetaMask wallet and, finding your fiat on-ramp and all of those sorts of things. And a huge part of our mission is to make DeFi more accessible to the masses. So how are you finding new people discovering your site and then finding something they want on the site and then actually being able to acquire it without any experience in DeFi?
Yeah, so right now it's definitely still a technical space. You kind of do need a technical understanding just to get involved. Not necessarily technical, but you need to understand how to operate a MetaMask wallet, how to transfer your cryptocurrency from wherever you bought it to the MetaMask wallet, and then how it interacts on the application level. So I wasn't around for the internet boom, but I think it's very similar. If you tried to send an email in the 90s, you probably needed a computer science degree. And now everyone's grandma, sends them happy birthday emails without even thinking about it. So I think the technology over time will develop where people don't even necessarily know that they're using blockchain technology. It's just going to be the benefits of the technology underlying the ecosystem. So we're really targeting right now people that already have exposure into the crypto space, because to be honest, if you don't understand how cryptocurrency works right now, it's pretty challenging to wrap your head around an NFT or where its value is compared to any other digital item and why it would be different than that. So there's definitely a learning curve, and that's something we're going to need to figure out how to approach as this technology becomes more pervasive.
Yeah, and to go back to your earlier points about your community, a lot of gamers are actually not young. I mean, we have a whole new breadth, but there are a lot of gamers that are, over 30, even over 40, who've been around since, the 80s and 90s. Are you seeing them enter this gaming space as well? Or do you think that this is really a young person's game?
I think it's a combination. I think older gamers will easily understand the value of NFT-based gaming items. Yeah. You have people playing games like Fortnite, like Call of Duty, where they're already spending these money and using these virtual currencies, and they have no ownership of any of their assets. So when you just understand it from that perspective, that now you'll own all of those assets instead of the game, that's an easy concept. Now it's just introducing them to the technology and, making the actual switch. So if they can understand, they can make a couple $100 extra a year, or sometimes even more, a month, a week, depending on how active they are. That's a pretty good incentivization to get them to try out these new systems. So I think, if you're 30, 40, 50, 60, if you're a gamer, then it's definitely much easier to bridge that gap.
Amazing. I feel like there are probably going to be some specific tools and technologies coming about to help to kind of drive, because obviously the bigger the market share, the better. And I think the younger people find these things quite easily, but I think there's, the women don't and the older people don't. And I think there's going to be, increasingly a push to bring those demographics to center.
Sure.
So I'm going to invite Meow Meow on now. He's in the studio, but just a little bit behind the scenes here. And he's going to have a few questions to jam with you on as well.
Perfect.
Yeah. Cool. Meow Meow, come on in.
And here's Meow Meow. Hi there, guys.
Hey, Meow Meow.
Live from Russia.
Live from Russia, yeah. In Soviet Russia, you don't play games play you. Yeah. But winners, straight up, I would completely disagree with you about women don't play games. I have a lot of gamer girls friends, like they enjoying it and all the stuff. So
it's not the games. It's not the games. It's the crypto. I'm saying there just aren't many women in crypto.
The borders are blurring so much. So if you're a gamer, you actually can get into blockchain and vice versa. So I don't see any problems with that. Anyway, Harrison, actually, just want to get straight back to the NFT gaming again, right? You said about this NFT projects and a GameFi basically with the NFT. I've seen a lot of GameFi projects myself. And the problem is right now, and you pointed correctly that a lot of blockchain engineers getting into GameFi, and they have everything except of a game. No, I'm
That's
not
so true. No, you're very right. And we've seen complaints. I'm not going to name the actual projects because just out of kindness. But yeah, we see a lot of games that are developing NFTs really just to sell them from the collectible side without planning to fully develop that game. So that, like I was saying, that's why it's important, really important to do your research into these projects.
It just looks like, seriously, it just looks like a copycat of a CryptoPunk, of the Soul Punk, or whatever punk it is, right? It just like, we just changed it, like make a Pokemon bottle there, add it there, and call it a game. Yeah, done, finish.
Yeah, there's a lot of Mon games like Pokemon, but now every chain has their own Mon, trying to ride off, that name.
Pokemon was NFT before it became a blockchain.
Like the original NFT.
Yeah, the trading cards, all the stuff. It's an OG. Like I remember the days I used to play Magic the Gathering. It was the same logic, basically. It's trading cards. Come on.
Yeah, and you see a lot of now, some of the first gaming iterations are digital trading card games, which really makes sense because this is the first time that you could provably own a unique digital trading card without knowing that it's going to be copied. And like I was saying, even if it is made into a reproduction, there's still that verifiable first edition, and no one will be able to take away that first edition aspect from these cards.
I agree. And also, just we have a technical team here, and one of the guy from technical team is saying that Black Lotus is still worth a lot of money.
I'll take one.
So yeah, our tech team is agreeing on that point. Yeah. And also, just want to remind everyone, you saw guys a ticker there. If you have a question, drop in the chat. We will read it out. And right now, I just want to read out one question from YouTube from the user Raw Fat Slim. Okay, I read it. The community determines the value of the NFT, as you mentioned. Can you name some game changers in NFT project? From your experience, what utility did you think supposed a high adoption impact?
So I really think a lot of these high adoption and utility NFTs are really just getting started, and I think they're going to drastically change over time as well. I mean, you see some of these Axie Infinity NFTs selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars when a year ago they were only worth a couple dollars. So it really depends on the social aspects, the communities, who's playing it, and the long-term viability. From the collectible side, it's really hard to determine which NFT collections are going to pan out besides the ones that are receiving a lot of hype now. But from the gaming side, it's really just the community that develops within the gaming ecosystem and how that goes over time. You have games like CSGO, like Call of Duty, these franchises that last for decades. And I think there's going to be NFT games like that too that develop, where those are going to be the high value, high impact NFTs that gamers and users are looking for.
Harrison, also just want to add, I'm a gamer myself. Like, I like to play games, all the stuff. I used to play EVE Online. I used to play CSGO and all the stuff. But the biggest problem these companies have is something called the RMT, which is real money trading. How you think it will cooperate with the big companies are kind of against RMT, but at the same time, it still drives the economy. So we see it like RMT is like necessary evil or something. So could NFT itself solve this problem? So RMT, for everyone don't understand, is real money trading. So
yeah, I think it's gonna be something that they're forced to reckon with over time. I mean, a lot of these indie studios now are gonna monetize their gaming through royalty sales, which I think is a really nice way to make money without having to really gouge the gamers. A lot of these NFT collectibles are selling for $500-$600 off the bat, which the average person obviously can't afford and doesn't want to speculate on. But if they can sell that same type of gaming item for a few dollars and then over time develop its value and make royalties on each transaction, that's going to be a model that they might have to adopt if all of their communities go to these games that generate the players' money. If you have the option to play two exact identical or similar games, and one of them is going to make you an extra couple $100s a year, it seems pretty obvious to me which one you're going to choose. So I think it's just going to be something they're going to have to reckon with eventually, because it's going to be an inevitable increase in the technology and how it evolves over time.
But will it promote the freemium model of creating games? So like provide game for free, but you can own gems, you can own stuff, you can basically gamble. The loot box itself is gambling. So wouldn't it promote it? Or we can find a balance there.
I think there'll be a balance. I mean, I think there will be freemium NFT games too, where you get a base NFT, but you either have to spend time in the game to make it more valuable, or use in-game currency to develop it. So I don't think even the free aspect will push people away. It's more just the ability for users to monetize their gameplay that's going to be the deciding factor.
Yeah, I think so. But again, the companies will take their commission, right? Because they issued the NFT. And I believe the way how you can create contract, you can actually get some tax to owner from every operation made with that NFT, like selling or transferring, right?
But that's more of a built-in royalty, right? Where you create the thing and then every time it's sold, you receive a royalty as the artist.
Yeah, that's built-in royalties. Right now, it's really only a centralized implementation. We're working on building a decentralized royalties feature where creators will be able to recognize those royalties regardless of the platform it's traded on. So that'll be a way for game studios to potentially monetize without having to sell these high-value items right off the bat. But there also will be, even like how you see it now, where there's gaming items that are expensive without any ownership rights. And in the same game, there's also free items. So I think there's going to be a wide range of different assets that are available, free ones to entice people and bring them in, and then more valuable ones for the hardcore gamers that want to, develop their skills and play the game for the long run.
Amazing. And just, I want to ask our audience for a second, guys, if we have here any game devs, right? Hit me up, guys. I have an idea. We can do it together. We can do it like me, Harrison, Venus, you guys. We can make a good game. We can make an MMO, make a lot of money. Let's go.
Yeah, we'll feature you on NFTrade. So
yeah, no, it's true that these dialogues, they do inspire ideas, sort of midstream. I have an interesting question. So this would have been probably 15 years ago. I was asked to do a deep research report on Second Life, which at the time crashed my computer so much it took me about 3 times as long as it should have to actually get the thing done. But in Second Life, there were the Linden dollars, and there was this incredible community that God was so dedicated. And I remember people were getting married in Second Life before meeting in real life, and it was almost like it was a dating app. It was a virtual world. There was real estate you could buy. There were experiences you could have. But it was very subcultural, I would say, and very niche and very hard to access if you weren't experienced with gaming, because it was just such a big application and really quite hard to kind of carry that on your computer. To what degree do you think Second Life serves as some form of interesting prototype for what we're seeing now in terms of the in-app purchases, in terms of something like Decentraland, where you can obviously buy real estate, or another game where you're buying clothes or you're buying cars? Do you think we owe some homage to that, or do you think that was just kind of an anomaly at the time?
No, for sure. I mean, I think Decentraland, that's what I was going to say too, as really the next evolution of something like this, where it's really an open metaverse where the users can fully decide how they want to play, what playing means to them, whether it is, like you said, fashion, art, or, a shooter, or working in different real estate. We're actually going to be building a digital art gallery in Network, which is a really cool metaverse that's getting ready to launch their mainnet soon. So there's a lot of different opportunities, and I think they definitely ride off the coattails of games like Second Life, where the user has, full opportunities to pursue and interact in the game however they want.
Amazing. And where is Second Life now? It's still around, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let me Google it for a second. Is it alive?
Because weren't you also able to trade Linden dollars for Bitcoin at some point? Wasn't that one of the sort of early Bitcoin exchanges?
I mean, that sounds possible for sure. Yeah, I'm not fully aware of Second Life's integration with the crypto space, but it definitely, from how you described it and from what it represents, is for sure a footstep that a lot of these metaverses probably used as inspiration.
Oh God, it does actually still exist. Second Life is still there, still with us. It's been like what? It's been developed in 2003, I believe, something like that, around that time. So it's kind of old at this point.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
it has a legacy.
actually, regarding Second Life, you actually reminded me, because I remember I was listening to Satoshi Street Bets for some time, and there was some project which actually takes the Universal Music label group, right? And they add it into engine or into logic of Second Life. So they're making a virtual concerts and all the stuff. Remember, like Fortnite did, for example, with Marshmallow,
Yeah.
or
Mhm.
yeah. So thinking of that, we're seeing right now big labels are actually adopting the NFT craze.
Yeah.
Because you can NFT literally everything. Like I can't NFT this mark, which is amazing. But I can like write a song, I can NFT it, I can make a picture, I can NFT it, I can text something,
Yeah.
tweet. Literally, tweet was when the
Tokenized tweets.
Yeah,
Jack Dorsey
tokenized.
sold his tweet for $3 million.
Yeah.
Like 2.9 million or something crazy like that.
So you can NFT everything. And we see right now when Universal, they are huge, right? They're huge. And even they are adopting, they're jumping in that hype train. So we might see more adoption, we might see more interesting stuff there with the NFTs. And I'm really hoping to jump on that train too.
I was really concerned when I saw, in the first sort of run up this year, Taco Bell and all of these big brands starting to jump into it. I was like, oh God, this is ruining everything. And really taking the novelty out of it, because there were, sort of like every ad agency, I think, had sort of, thought they had the next big idea and was pitching it to their brands, and suddenly there's a Wendy's and a Taco Bell NFT, which was just, in some ways, I think it was sullying the space that was otherwise, beginning to emerge. Meow Meow. Yes.
Here's the thing. I
What's the thing?
I can disagree. As soon as it becomes mainstream, it starts to make money. Remember Bitcoin? It was like a small group of people, nerds doing their transaction, all the stuff, magical internet money, and then it become mainstream and it makes money. So with NFT, we see absolute same progression, just really accelerated.
But I would also counter argue that and say that they were already making money before.
They were
Taco
making.
Bell started giving away free NFTs as just sort of promotional things.
Why not? You see, GameStop actually made their own NFT market. They're doing it. They actually hired engineers, the blockchain engineers. They hired people who can make NFTs. And why they did it? Because they saw that community wants to support them.
Yeah, but
and
they're
GameStop.
They make sense. They're GameStop. They make games.
Oh,
I get that.
Come on. If any think of that like that, that you can buy a game and you can own it. It's a next level DRM basically. It's an NFT. So you can buy a game, it not pirated, and it will check it on as an NFT, and all piracy problems solved. Like, come on, Microsoft is doing this stuff right now.
I think it's kind of a combination of what both of you are saying. I think for a lot of companies, they're trying to ride the hype, but it's also the fact that there's this mainstream adoption, or at least mainstream approach to these assets, makes them very, very interesting to go after. So for example, like GameStop, there's a much more identifiable use case for why they would use NFTs. But even something like Taco Bell or Pizza Hut or any of these companies, right now, they could just be purely collectible marketing items, but those could provide value to specific utility over time, such as anybody that owns the first 100 Pizza Hut NFTs, gets a free pizza once a month or something like that.
Citron sauce. Szechuan sauce, McDonald's Szechuan sauce, which was made as a promo for Milan movie.
Szechuan sauce.
Szechuan sauce, yeah.
Yeah.
It's an
Here
example.
to translate.
It's an example.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not Native American.
Wait, so McDonald's has a Szechuan sauce?
Yeah, the story of that. Like, if you take a look at the eBay and how much it costs right now.
Yeah, and it has the Rick and Morty riding off the coattails.
Don't drink my Morty. Yeah, thank you, Walter.
No, but it's definitely, like you said, it's the mainstream acceptance of what this presents, but it's also a totally new technology that opens the doors to so many different opportunities.
But Rick and Morty exactly made it mainstream. It was small promo. It was just nothing. As soon as Rick and Morty mentioned it, boom, skyrocket. Prices skyrocketed to the moon.
Yeah. How, Harrison?
Okay. Szechuan sauce is new Bitcoin.
Szechuan sauce coin.
Yeah. Since Meow Meow is inspiring people with so many original ideas,
it's gonna be a rock.
Tell us how easy is it to mint an NFT? How easy is it for the average person to create and mint an NFT?
It's super easy. On NFTrade, you can do it in one click. On Polygon, we offer feeless minting. So it's free. You don't even need to hold any crypto in your wallet. You can just open a MetaMask and create it right off the bat. All you have to do to mint an NFT on NFTrade is upload your file. It can be a video file, GIF, music file, anything. Add your title, add your description, and press mint. So it's a couple seconds process. Super, super, super easy.
I'm making one right now.
Yeah.
I'm making one right now. I'm not even kidding. I'm making one.
Yeah, and if you have Polygon on your MetaMask, then you don't even need any Matic. You can just mint it for free.
Wow. That's amazing. And how do you come up with the cost structure for that? As a business, is it because it's just purely commission based?
So yeah, right now for the first 6 months, we charge 0 transaction fees, more as a promotion to incentivize users to come to our community. We're getting ready to release our governance token. So we're gonna have our community vote on the transaction fees that they want to implement. But for now, we're keeping it for free just to, show what our platform can do and, why it's better than all of the available options. So that's kind of how we're going to monetize it. From the creator side, they'll be able to not only sell their NFTs, but also get royalties and exposure, be able to build their brand and stuff like that.
All right. That's
very exciting.
Really amazing.
Meow Meow, do you have any more ideas you'd like to pitch while we're...
No, I'll keep pitches for 8tank, okay? I'll keep my pitches to 8tank. But I'm not going to advertise it. It's going to be conflict of interest on the subject.
I was going to say, here comes a plug. I can feel it coming on.
Nah, denied.
So Harrison, is there anything else that you'd like to share with us about what's on the horizon for you guys? Anything you're super excited about? Anything that you'd like to share with the community that gets them kind of, moving towards your site?
Sure. Yeah. So we're working hard on cross-chain functionality. Right now, a lot of these NFT games are very isolated in the sense that you can kind of only interact within the community. So we want to make a marketplace for everyone where, they can go and interact regardless of the game, regardless of the collection and stuff like that. So cross-chain accessibility is going to be big. We also offer a lot of unique features like decentralized peer-to-peer swaps, where users can easily trade items with each other. We also have another really cool feature we call NFT farming, which is allows token holders to stake tokens in order to earn exclusive NFTs. These NFTs come from the projects themselves. So we work with collectible companies. We work with games that offer free NFTs in the game that actually have value themselves. We even have worked with partners that are offering an NFT that grants an allocation and an upcoming IDO. So it's a way to guarantee you get on the whitelist for an upcoming IDO. So there's really a lot of different ways you can get value out of the NFTrade platform. And we're kind of just looking to offer, the most simple, intuitive, and cost-effective way for users to create and interact with their NFTs, and in a fully decentralized manner. So we're kind of trying to approach it from the blockchain ethos, where it's community governed, it's community run, and the community really has a say on how we operate on a fundamental level.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today. This was wonderful to not only learn more about NFTrade, but also get all of your insights on the market, to get some really original ideas out of, stage right up here with Meow Meow. And but no, I mean, I think this is wonderful for our community. Wall Street Bets is looking to develop some NFTs for its platform as well. And I know we like you guys a lot and would like to kind of see how that might work together going forward. So
yeah. I mean, there's even, we can make a WSB farm, get some exclusive NFTs out to your governance token holders. There's a lot of different ways. And I'm also expecting Meow Meow's game to be fully hosted on NFTrade when it's ready.
Now we're talking.
And also his Szechuan sauce.
Yeah, both.
I want to get one, actually.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much, and I'm sure we will all stay in touch. And
thanks a lot for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Of course. Good luck with everything you guys are doing.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Right. So